Hello and welcome to this episode of Christians in Industry as part of the 323 podcast. Today I'm so excited to have on one of my closest friends who I've known for a long time, Matt McEwen, who is a pilot. And he's going to be telling us all about how his faith plays into his work as an airline pilot. And we're going to learn so much from him, and I'm really looking forward to it. As always, the whole point of this podcast is to discuss how we can connect our faith as Christians with our work and live out the calling of Colossians 3:23, where we are called to do everything. Whatever you do, work at it heartily, as for the Lord and not for men. And Matt's going to be giving us some great insight today into how pilots, Christian pilots, can do this in their work. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you learn a lot and I hope you enjoy. Let's get right into it. Right, well, a massive warm welcome to one of my best friends, Matt. Thank you for being on the show, Matt. First ever episode. Hope you're looking forward to it. I know I am. So, Matt, could you just tell us, first of all, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited to be on, so thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, so my name is Matthew. I am an airline pilot. More specifically, I'm a first officer, so I'm not a captain. I'm the co-pilot, as a lot of people say. So yeah.
Cool. And how long have you been doing that for, Matt?
I've been in the airlines for about almost 3 years. But I've been flying for almost 8 years outside.
Because what did you do? So before you were an airline pilot, what did you do? I know what you do, but tell the rest of us.
Yeah, I was a student for a while. It took me, I went to school for aeronautics. So that took me like 4 years to complete. And then I was a flight instructor for almost 2 years. So yeah, I guess I've been flying for 9 years now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, because I think most people outside of aviation don't realize that it's not like most jobs where you just go to university, get a degree, and then get a job. You have to build up hours and do all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in America. You got to get the 1,500 hours to be able to go to the airlines. And so you got to make that time somehow.
And for normal people, 1,500 hours, roughly, could you explain just like what that means to get 1,500 hours, basically?
Yeah, it takes a while. For someone who has a life and isn't just, in the air 24/7, that's going to be about 2 to 3 years, somewhere in between there, to get the 1,500 hours. There are some people who do it a lot faster, but their quality of life is non-existent. So,
and I think that's going to be, I think, probably one of the biggest themes of our chat is life, work, that sort of balance.
Yeah.
And all that. But we'll get onto that into a little bit. But again, awesome to have you, because pilots are not, there's not masses of them around compared to other things. So good to chat. So second sort of question after who you are and stuff. How have you seen God at work in your life so far, particularly in your career? Big question, but what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, that is a big question. Wow, I feel like I've seen God work so much, especially in my career. Just like, even as a student, just like he opened so many doors. Flying is so expensive, and it's not cheap to go to school for flying, but God opened doors and allowed me to get scholarships that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. I truly believe that God opened those doors and allowed me to get those scholarships. And then also internships. I was able to get an internship with United Airlines, and I don't know how I got that internship, but I really feel like it was a God thing. I feel like he just opened so many doors and just allowed me to get into places that there's no way I through my own power would have been able to get to. So very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Very blessed.
Because aviation, I feel like, for everyone else out there, just for some context, I also wanted to do exactly what Matt did once upon a time. Did all the training, but wasn't lucky enough to actually get a job because of COVID and all that. But with flying, it's one of those careers where you can do all the right stuff, get all the right licenses, but then just never get the job.
I feel like it's all about timing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all in God's timing. So
Yep. And so how flying is a very like all-consuming career, you know, when you're on, you're 100% on and stuff. So how do you live out your faith in your career, given that it is such you know, flying is more of a lifestyle, I would say, than just a job. So how do you live out your faith as part of that?
yeah, I went to Liberty University, and what they say a lot there is like because it's a Christian university, and
Hmm.
so yeah, they basically say like because it's Christian, it means what you're doing should be better, and so I feel
Hmm.
like when I'm flying, like I feel like because I'm a Christian, I should be really skilled or like try really hard and do everything to the best of my ability, and so I feel like flying, I try to be the best pilot I can. And so
Hmm.
that's one part of it. Um, and I think that shows, and a lot of people appreciate the work ethic.
Hmm.
But yeah, also I think just being a good witness through my actions. There's a lot of pilots who you know it's a career that you you can find a lot of there's a lot of crazy pilots out there. And
Yeah.
so
I guess there's sort of the classic like movie image of pilots, you know, hooking up, let's say, with flight
yeah.
attendants and stuff like that all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's like a real thing. And I think just like obviously not doing that stuff. That's telling. There's a lot of cussing in the cockpit, and I never cuss in the cockpit, and then people realize that, and they say like, "Oh wow, like I realize you haven't sworn this whole time." So things like that.
And with that, like with people sort of noticing things like different language and stuff, obviously when you're in the middle of the air on a long flight, you got a lot of time to talk to, you know, your co-pilot.
Yep.
Do you find that, like, have you had many opportunities to talk about faith and witness to people, or is it kind of difficult to because it's in a professional environment?
Yeah, so it is difficult. During training, one of the or two of the things they say not to talk about are politics and religion. They like straight up tell you that
Right.
don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But that being said, I made it my goal to try to bring up God at least once during a flight with the captain. Like not every single flight, but during a trip, I'll try to talk about it and see where they're at. And so that's my goal. And I don't come on super strong and say like you're going to hell. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, I actually have a conversation every single trip. Um, Sometimes they're amazing conversations that last like throughout the whole trip, 4 or 5 hours, and sometimes they're people who are just like, no, I don't believe in God. Don't talk to me about it. So
Yeah. And what are some of the like? What would you say are the most common things that like? Are there certain things that sort of come up regularly, or is it like, you know, completely different every time, sort of thing?
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variety, but I have found recently, for the most part, there's a lot of people who are saying that, yeah, like they may believe in a higher being, they're
Mm.
spiritual, but they don't necessarily believe in just one God. Like they're accepting of all gods, and like it's a mountaintop that people take different paths, but it all leads to the same point. And so I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one benefit, I suppose, maybe of the slightly more modern attitude towards religion versus, you know, not that long ago, where, you know, I feel like a decade ago, 2 decades ago, it was sort of almost generally a rejection of religion as a concept, whereas now, with the sort of spirituality becoming more popular, even though we would say that type of spirituality doesn't lead to salvation at all,
Mm-hmm.
it's opening people's minds to the idea of something spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess must, you know, make things a little easier if there's not a straight up rejection of the idea of God,
Yeah.
that they're more open to considering something. But yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. So, how would you say then that your faith has impacted your career positively? So, you know, how has your faith, I guess, made the career easier or better or helped you get through it, type of thing?
Hmm. Yeah. I Well, for one, yeah, I would say like having those deeper conversations. I think that that's been a positive thing. Like, there's not really deep conversations a lot of times, but
Hmm.
I feel like because of me bringing up God often, I feel like we are able to have those deep conversations, and I've gotten to know these captains, co-pilots really well. Like they've a lot of
Yeah.
times they've really opened up and shared things with me that I'm surprised that they're telling me this, but
Mm.
I think that's been really positive. I really enjoy getting to know people on a deeper level, and I don't think that would
Hmm.
happen if I wasn't talking about God. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And is there an element as well, I guess, where um, being, having faith, being a Christian man, you sort of your faith helps keep you from some of the temptations of the pilot lifestyle as well? Because, I don't want to make out that, any pilot that's not a Christian is living the sort of, uh, the slightly more out there playboy lifestyle. But I suppose as a married man, having a faith must help as well, sort of set your feet on the ground, knowing that, it's not just your relationship with your wife that needs to keep you pure through this job, but, your relationship with God more than anything as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely it does. Yeah, it's I mean, it's everything to that point.
Mm.
I feel like, it's so easy if I wasn't a believer um to fall into that. And so it's so yeah, faith is everything with that.
Nice. So that's the how has your faith sort of helped your
Mm.
career? Have you faced any challenges in your career because of your faith, would you say?
Hmm. I feel like for the most part everyone's been super positive with me
Mm.
talking about God. I haven't really had too many
Mhm.
people um, like give me any kind of negative reaction, although I have
Yep.
had some. And so I would say that that's the challenge. There's not too many challenges in that sense, but
Yep.
there have been maybe like two times I can think about where because of my faith, like people have treated me differently, not invited me to,
Mm.
go get dinner or hang out outside of like once we get to the hotel outside of flying. And so
Yep.
there's been a couple instances where that has happened. Um,
Mm.
yeah, just like people seeming a little judgmental and
Yep.
yeah, just assuming when they hear Christian, they just think, someone who's
They
gonna,
think,
yeah, like have
yeah,
a,
condescend, judge,
yeah.
and yeah. So what about scheduling as well? Because obviously one of the most important things about being a believer is church, is meeting up with fellow Christians and things. And obviously, we've spoken about this in the past, but how has flying impacted that side of your faith, given that, you are on a schedule and, you don't work sort of Monday to Friday like
Mm,
most jobs?
yeah.
So how is that sort of impacted?
Yeah, actually, that's been really hard. It's really hard to like scheduling is all based on seniority, so it's hard to get the days off that you always want. And so I'm not home every Sunday, and my wife and I we are part of a community group. We actually lead one, and it's every Tuesday. And then I work with youth, and I lead the junior boys every Wednesday. And yeah, I don't really have a say over my schedule, and so I'm not there every Tuesday. I'm not there every Wednesday. I'm not there every Sunday. And that's hard. There is like I think over the summer there was one month where I don't think I was at church on Sunday once in that whole month. And that was really hard. Just,
What do you do to what do you do? So if it is a Sunday and you're on a trip, um, do you do like watch an online sermon, do online church, or what sort of things do you do to kind of try and make the most out of a difficult situation?
yeah, a lot of times I'm working during the sermon, but I will usually try to watch the sermon for that week because, like I said, we do lead a community group Tuesday nights, and usually we talk about the sermon. And if I'm here, then I'm usually going to be the one facilitating that. And so, um, yeah, so I try to watch the sermon so I know what I'm talking about. So usually I do watch that sermon. Um, but yeah, it is hard. You don't get that same sense of fellowship when you're just watching it on the screen, and um, yeah, so that's definitely been a challenge.
What about exhaustion as well? Because I know, pilots, obviously, you work awful hours,
Mm.
long trips. So do you ever find as well that after a trip, when you are absolutely exhausted, do you sometimes just find it difficult to, to get involved in things at church, in like community groups, to focus on, your personal quiet time and stuff like that because of, just being completely exhausted?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm in seminary right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking a few classes, and even just the other day, like I woke up at 4 a.m. I had a 12-hour flight day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
not all 12 hours was me in the air, but a lot of that was pre-flighting and stuff. So 12 hours, I got home and I had to write a paper, or like a
Mm-hmm.
discussion post, and man, I was just so exhausted and I had like nothing in me, but I had to do it because it was due that night. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, like I definitely found myself not, I probably did not do as well on that discussion post as I usually would. But yeah, that even leads into yeah, quiet time and like all those areas of volunteering that I was saying that I'm in. There's times where I get to youth group or something and I'm just like, oh, man, I've been flying all day, been up since 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., and I'm just, I'm not feeling it today. I just want to not be here. And so I really just have to pray and ask God for strength. And I truly believe that like there's times where I would not get through something if it weren't for Him and His strength that He gives me. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. And I guess that's one of the one of the benefits, I guess, of having a faith and being, in
Mm.
aviation is you have that additional source of strength to lean on, and not, people who don't have a faith, it is literally just their own energy levels that they're relying on. Whereas, you when you are tired, you know that you can cast the burden of being exhausted onto Christ. You can
Yeah.
lean on him and he can sort of energize you, which it must be, yeah,
Yeah.
help for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any like Bible verses then that sort of either help you in your career or just in life? Just a Bible verse that really sort of helps you or that encourages you or just one that you like for any reason?
Yeah. So, do you know what a challenge coin is? I don't know if it's just like an
I do not.
American thing.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
okay. So in the military, I think yeah, it's a military thing. They give you these coins, and
Hmm.
basically there are these big coins that have stuff on it. So like it's like a motto or this one. It's Ephesians 6:10 through 13, and it basically just talks about putting the armor of God on, and it also has a Bible verse on the back that talks about Ephesians, and so I got this challenge coin, and in the military I think they have them, just like you fly with it. The guy who gave me this one, he was a fighter pilot, and he told me he put this in his left pocket, every time he flew, and so I got this right before I started flight training, and so I have flown with this coin, um, every single flight I've done, and
Very
so
cool.
yeah. And so, I used to, I can't say I do this every time now, but before I would go fly, it was kind of a bigger deal when I was in training. I would pray and, pray for the full armor of God. And now I still fly with it every single flight. I put it in my flight bag. But yeah, I would say that that verse has always been something that I kind of associate with flying, just like putting on the whole armor of God, and just how important that is, in everyday life, but especially while I'm flying, and even now when I'm in the airlines having these conversations with captains. Um, Actually, I was able talking with the captain. I was able to pull this out and show him this Bible verse, and we were able to talk about it, and so it was a really good
Yeah,
talking
super
point.
cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's been really really cool to have that.
Yeah, and I guess with that sort of having that very physical like representation of that verse one, it would be a good reminder, because you feel it on you or you see it and stuff, and that automatically brings that verse to mind. Transitioning a little bit, if you were to give a young Christian or just any Christian of any age who is interested in becoming a pilot one piece of advice, what would it be? Either about career itself, but also about faith and that career. What would you say to someone who came to you for just one or two great pieces of advice?
Yeah. Wow. So when it comes to just career in general, I would say, be ready for a roller coaster, because like we talked about, it's all about timing. It's all about God's timing. And like as you experience, it doesn't always work out, and it may take a while. It may take a lot longer. For me to get to the airlines, I was ready to get here almost a year before I was able to actually get into the airlines, because just the fluctuations of just the industry, they kept pushing my class date, like my start date, back because they needed more captains, and it's all based on so many things, the economy, and so yeah, there's times where things slow down, and you're gonna be in a waiting phase, and so be patient. Your time will come, and just rely on God for that. And then yeah, I would say for a Christian pilot who's someone who's already in this industry, maybe I would say just be bold. Like I said, at a training, they told us not to talk about religion and politics. And yes, you have to be careful, because in that crew environment, if you bring up religion and someone has a lot of church hurt or something, and they don't, yeah, if they have a lot of church hurt, they don't like Christians, they don't want to talk about God, and then maybe they're offended by you bringing that up, it could affect your flying, and it could cause it could put you in an environment that's not safe, and you never want to be in that. And so you do have to be careful, but at the same time, like, proceed with caution, but still proceed. Don't just let yourself not talk about God. And I would say, yeah, just be bold. Pray for the Holy Spirit to embolden you and be able to go and talk about God. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And I think as well, like, lots of for myself, one of my biggest reservations, back when I was hoping to become a pilot, was always about timing, being away from home and stuff. So I guess also to hear you say that, yeah, it's tricky, but it's manageable, it's doable. There are things you can do to make it work and stuff. I guess that's also hopefully an encouragement to people out there who are interested in that, just to see that you can very much, it is compatible, Christianity and the pilot schedule. And just out of curiosity, how many like other Christian pilots would you say you've flown with? Like, is it common, is it uncommon, or?
I would say it's more uncommon. I can think of maybe three captains that I know that I would say they are like solid Christians, and I enjoy flying with them and talking with them about God. There's some people who are like, yeah, I'm Christian, and then they're like, yeah, but like, as I'm talking with them, they're like, yeah, I don't believe in Jesus being the Son of God. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's more of like a cultural Christianity versus an actual personal faith sort of thing.
So I've seen that a good bit, but yeah, so it's kind of rare, I would say. It's not super common.
Yeah, and I would imagine being in the US as well, you probably meet quite a lot more, even though you haven't met masses of Christian captains. I would imagine you probably come across more over there than we would over here in the UK or in Europe. But do you have some good conversations though with those Christian captains? Because if you have hours to talk to someone, do you find you have time for good conversation, or is it still kind of, because you don't really know each other, is it a little awkward, or do you find it easier because you have that thing in common?
Yeah, I think I find it easier. Yeah. I've had some really good conversations. I've had captains like share their testimony with me and just really share some vulnerable things, and just be really honest. And that's been really cool. So yeah, like next week I'm flying with one of those captains, and I'm really excited because we always have really good conversations. He gives me good advice on life, and like, he's just a solid guy. And so I really enjoy flying with him. So I do like that. Yeah.
And it must be nice as well to almost build up that kind of, you know, sort of like, not quite like a mentorship, but almost, having an older, more experienced Christian pilot who can kind of, talk you through it a little bit. And, you've seen what he's been able to do, and you can sort of see, again, that what can come of it,
Yeah.
and things like that.
And like we said, there's challenges in this job, and it's nice to have someone else who has, been here a lot longer than me, and I can, ask questions like, ask questions, get advice on things that maybe I'm struggling with. So it is really nice.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of like slightly more abstract question, but what do you think would be most likely to pull your focus away from your faith in your work? So just as an example, for some people that might be the temptation to earn a big salary might almost cause them to focus more on the career versus the faith element, or wanting to be famous, or wanting to reach the top of a career ladder and bringing other people down as a result. So what do you think in flying is probably the biggest pulling factor that could pull you away from your faith?
Yeah, I would say for me, I guess everyone has their own struggles, but for me, it would probably be both money and like just the pride, the prestige of it all.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not in a major airline. I'm at a regional airline. But going to a major airline and flying those big planes, it appeals to me, and that's not wrong. I think it's okay for me to maybe want to do that at some point. But I would say like the reasons why it appeals to me are probably for the wrong reasons. Like it would just be because it sounds cool and I make more money. And that's kind of the only reason that it kind of appeals to me. Now, like, again, I don't think it's wrong. And if you see me in a major airline in like 2 years, you're going to be like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah. Where are your priorities,
Yeah.
Matt? Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's wrong. And like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe God will call me over there, but I don't think that's the path that God's going to call me on as of right now. I don't know. And I think I would have some things to work on before maybe going to that. But yeah, definitely. Just the money is probably the biggest one. I definitely get nervous with money, and it'd be nice to make a lot. So
yeah. There's always that temptation for the sort of money, and as you said, the kind of pride of it, because pilots definitely walk through the airport with a lot of swagger, because people do look at them and think like, oh yeah, it is one of those jobs that people generally think, oh yeah, that's a cool job.
Yeah.
It's not a boring job. You're flying fast, expensive pieces of, equipment, and at the end of the day, it is super cool, and not many people get to do it. But as you said, I think I like what you said about, it's not wrong to want to sort of, for example, go on to a major airline, but it's all about that focus.
Yeah.
If I think one valuable thing for all of us to remember is that it's not a sin to make money, but it is a sin to love money.
Right.
It's
make it
about
your God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To have it as an idol in your life, where you're not just doing something you love and serving God in it, but you are seeking money and sort of looking for ways that you can say you're serving God, when really it's the money that's driving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I think there's a reason why Jesus talks about how dangerous, money is so many times. It's definitely something that, it might be a hindrance in your faith. So, yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. And I suppose for other people as well, again, I think just that lifestyle of being away, especially as a married individual, being away surrounded by people who, maybe are just looking to spend the night with someone on a layover or a trip. For certain individuals as well, I could see that being quite something that could pull you away as well. Because, obviously we hope that because of our faith and through our faith, we are able to resist those temptations. But at the same time, Christian men and Christian women are men and women at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I suppose if one wasn't really careful with the boundaries you're setting in place, and really specifically setting out to make sure that you respect your marriage at all times when you're away, then it could be really easy to slip into, even if we're not talking, full on adulterous acts or anything, but, even just flirting, being a little too friendly, let's say, with people, colleagues and things, then that could also, I'd imagine, be a huge, huge pull.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, I'm sure that for some people that is pretty hard.
Yeah. So having sort of spoken about all of that, lots of good things you've mentioned there, especially, talking about the ways that God has helped you in your faith and the way that you can use it as a chance to witness and things. How would you sort of pull all that together and summarize what it means to be a Christian pilot?
Yeah, I think kind of like what I said in the beginning. If it's Christian, it should be better. Like, we should be doing things with all of our heart, as if we're doing it for Christ. And I think to be a Christian pilot, it's both, being a skilled pilot, someone who is not lazy, because I fly with some people who are just terrible pilots. And I don't think that should be associated with a Christian pilot. So I think it's being a hardworking, skilled pilot, but also it's someone who's, not afraid to talk about the gospel and just like sharing the light of Jesus to everyone. And whether that means like through your action or actually talking with them about it, I think, I think a lot of times I've like the other Christian pilots that I've flown with, I wouldn't have probably known they were Christian unless I talked about it, because we're not really talking about religion much. But I think, I think we should not be afraid of talking about that with anyone. I would say skilled pilot, sharing the light of Jesus with everyone.
Yeah, perfect. And that ties in perfectly with like the whole reason I'm doing this show is to try and sort of, think about the idea that whatever you do, you're working at it for the Lord, not for men, which is, Colossians 3:23. It's the idea that, not all Christians are called to the mission field or, the specific sort of church-based or missionary-based mission field overseas and things, that whatever industry Christians go into, they can use that work to serve the Lord. And I think, that's exactly what I pulled out of our chat, which is, what you showed is it doesn't matter what you do. I don't think anyone would typically associate airline flying with Christian work, in quotes, so to speak. But it shows you can really make anything into Christian work as long as you got the right focus, the right motivations, and that, as you said, you're putting Christ at the center of all of that. So final question is, how can we pray for Christian pilots? What do you think Christian pilots need to be prayed for most?
Yeah, I feel like I've probably said it a few times, but just a boldness. Like pray for the Holy Spirit to embolden Christian pilots so that they're not afraid to share their faith, that they're not afraid to share with the crew who they are, because I think that's really important. So yeah.
And I mean, what better way to live out the great, the Jesus' final great commission to us to go out and tell people of all nations than to be someone whose job it is literally to fly to different nations and all over the place. And as you said, sharing your faith with crew and things wherever you're going.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. It's been an encouragement and a blessing to hear from you. And I'm sure, hopefully, so many people have taken away a lot about what it means to be a Christian, be a pilot, and to truly work at that career as for God and not for men. So thank you so much for coming on, Matt.
Dude,
it's been an absolute privilege.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This has been awesome. It's been so fun.
Perfect. Well, Matt, all the best, and I will speak to you very, very soon.
Sounds good, man.
Well, there you have it. I hope you learned something from Matt. I hope you enjoyed listening to our discussion as much as I enjoyed having the discussion. And hopefully you've just gained some insight into how Christians who are in the aviation sector, airline pilots, can live out their faith in their day-to-day work. I'd like to give another massive thanks to Matt for coming on the show and for talking to me, and a massive thanks to all of you for listening. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and give the video a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, people you know who might be interested. All of that is just going to be a huge help in getting this show seen and to help it grow, and ultimately help more and more of us learn how Christians in different industries can live out the calling of Colossians 3:23 to do everything for the Lord and not for man. So, thank you very much for listening and for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you on our next episode of Christians in Industry as part of the 323 podcast. God bless.